Hi everyone! So, my name is Pagadora and together with me is my EDP partner,
Miss Regine Perenal.
and today, ipapresent namin sa inyo aming final EDP video presentation para sa aming final defense. And bakit nga ba namin naisipan na lettuce ang gawin naming business?
Ang lettuce ay sobrang in demand sa panahon ngayon, lalong-lalo na ito ay patok sa samgyupsalan dahil ang lettuce ay pinaka-main dish sa samgyupsal.
So marami rin sa mga tao ngayon ang health conscious kaya lumilipat sila sa healthy diet. Kaya naman pumapatok rin talaga yung lettuce sa panahon ngayon. At kung mapapansin din natin, marami sa mga handaan na makikita natin sa mga lamesa na may mga handa. Ang mga lettuce, ginagamit nila ito sa mga sandwiches, sa iba pang mga pang-design ng pagkain. At dahil doon, na-inspire kami na ganyan yung gawin namin business para kumita kami ng pera. At wala nang ibang paligoy-ligoy pa, simulan na natin.
Nature of the project. The Green Wave Lettuce Lactocasativa Production Enterprise was a partnership type of business, a collaborative effort among two student entrepreneurs. The project covered functional areas such as production, personnel, marketing, and finance, all aimed at selling fresh and good quality lettuce.
Objectives of the project. The general objective of the project was to apply the principles of management and agribusiness in producing and selling lettuce. It also served as a valuable learning opportunity for the students as entrepreneurs. The project had the following specific objectives. The first one is to gain knowledge and experience in lettuce production. Second, gain income from lettuce production. And third, find out how profitable small-scale lettuce production and marketing is.
Time and place of the project. The Enterprise Development Project, or the EDP, was conducted at Cavite State University main campus from January to June 2024.
Description of the enterprise. Location and layout of the project. The Enterprise Development Project was located at the vegetable production area inside the university. The project used a total of 280.8 square meters of land divided into 17 plots. Each plot measured 1 meter in width and 12 meters in length, with a 40 centimeter gap maintained between the pathways. The plants were arranged in each plot with a spacing of 20 by 20 cm apart in the rows and 20 cm away from the boarding line, allowing for a total of 240 lettuce plants per plot. Consequently, the 17 plots accommodated a total of 5,400 lettuce plants.
Organization and Management. Mr. Pagadora and Mr. Jean Perenal supervised all the functional areas of the Enterprise Development Project. The student entrepreneurs were responsible for production, personnel, marketing, as well as the finance management of production expenses and profit.
Production. Pre-production activities. Procurement of materials. The procurement process for the production materials started with the purchase of carbonized rice hull from One Stop Rock Shop and seedling trays from KMKE Life Shop, both via Shopee Philippines. Vermicast was then purchased from Mr. Federico at Cavite State University, followed by the purchase of plastic mulch from Farmhouse Enterprise via Shopee Philippines and water hose from Balani Store in Poblacion 2, Alfonso, Cavite. The procurement continued with the sourcing of metal wire from AMG Hardware and urea fertilizer from Pulido Enterprises, both in Indang, Cavite. Lettuce seedlings were obtained from Ocampo St. Ivan Agriculture Services in Barangay Osorio, Trece Martires, Cavite, and plastic bags were both from Alfonso Freya Market. Lastly, lawn sprinklers was purchased from asite.ph via Shopee Philippines.
Site clearing. The land area was cleared with the help of a hired worker. All grass and undesired plants were removed from the area using a grass cutter. Land preparation. The land area has been plowed twice using a tractor and a disc plow to turn and break up soil, to bury crop residues, and to help control weeds.
Layouting. The student entrepreneurs used a meter tape to measure the land area.
Plot preparation. The student entrepreneurs, with the help of a paid laborer, had prepared 17 plots, each measuring 1 meter in width and 12 meters in length, using a hoe and a shovel. Additionally, 12 kilograms of chicken manure were incorporated into each plot.
Mulching. Plastic mulch was laid over each of these plots. Prior to making holes in the mulch, a long string was used to ensure the rows of holes were straight and a marker to indicate where the holes would be made. The student entrepreneurs had heated a can with charcoal to make the holes in the mulch. The charcoal was first heated in a large can and then transferred to smaller cans for making holes in the mulch. Each plot had been prepared with 240 holes for planting lettuce.
Sowing media preparation. The 15 seedling trays, each with 200 holes, were filled with a mixed sowing medium. This medium consisted of 1:1 ratio of vermicast and carbonized rice hull.
Seed sowing. The student entrepreneurs had sown lettuce seeds in 3 separate batches. They had used 15 seedling trays for the first and second batches and 10 seedling trays for the third batch. The first batch was sown in the second week of February, followed by the second batch in the following week. The final batch was sown in the second week of April. Throughout the early stages, the seeds were consistently watered using a water sprayer, and a water hose with nozzle was used during the seedling stage.
Hardening. The seedlings were hardened 3 days before transplanting them. They had been exposed to direct sunlight gradually for 3 days, 3 hours on the first day, 6 hours on the second day, and 9 hours on the third day to help them adapt to the new environment where they would grow permanently.
Transplanting. The lettuce seedlings that are 21 days old and have 3 to 4 leaves was transplanted to the field late in the afternoon by the student entrepreneurs with the help of hired laborers.
Watering. The lettuce plants were watered 4 times daily when needed to prevent the lettuce from drying out. The student entrepreneurs had implemented various irrigation methods. Initially, a hand sprinkler and a water hose were used for manual watering of the lettuce. The student entrepreneurs had also installed drip irrigation using 1.5-liter soft drinks bottles for some of the plants in one plot to test its effectiveness when left throughout the day with the bottles filled with water. Eventually, the student entrepreneurs had purchased a lawn sprinkler to water the lettuce plants throughout the day and prevent them from wilting due to the intense heat.
Fertilization. The fertilization process was carried out in 3 ways. Initially, the student entrepreneurs had enriched the soil with nutrients by incorporating 12 kilograms of chicken manure per plot. Subsequently, on the 7th and 14th days post-transplantation, urea fertilizer solution was applied to each lettuce plant to provide the necessary nitrogen for leaf growth. This involved preparing a solution by mixing 2 tablespoons, 30 grams of urea in 16 liters of water and applying 236.588 ml or 8 ounces of cup of this solution to each plant through drenching. Every 3 days after the urea application, the lettuce plants were fertilized with fish amino acid or FAA to boost their growth. This involved preparing a solution by mixing 2 tablespoons or 30 grams of FAA in 1 liter of water, which was then applied through foliar application. Each plant received 3 liters of the FAA solution. Both the FAA and urea fertilization processes were performed twice and were carried out late in the afternoon.
Weed management. Hand weeding was done once in every 2 weeks to prevent competition between plants and weeds for water and nutrient absorption.
Pest monitoring. No pests that can harm crops when found all throughout the production. However, the student entrepreneurs observed a variety of other creatures in the plots. These included frogs, spiders, ants, and crickets. These creatures weren't pests, but rather contributed to the area's biodiversity and even assisted in pest control. Frogs and spiders, for instance, are natural predators of many garden pests.
Harvesting. The lettuce was harvested 24 days after transplanting to the field using a gardening scissors. The student entrepreneurs collected the harvested lettuce using crates, then transported to the shaded area using a wheelbarrow. This procedure was carried out early in the morning.
Post-harvest handling. The student entrepreneurs ensured that the harvested lettuce was clean and of good quality by washing it, removing any damaged or deformed parts, and placing it on a drying rack to dry. The lettuce was then packed in plastic bags based on the pre-orders received.
Marketing. The student entrepreneurs sold their harvested lettuce at different markets. The majority of the harvested lettuce consisted of bulk orders, which was directly delivered to Miss Mary Jane Rosanes at Alfonso Flea Market in Poblacion 5, Alfonso, Cavite. Additionally, the student entrepreneurs also made individual sales and reached out to samgyeopsal restaurants around Indang and Alfonso, Cavite by messaging them on their Facebook pages to offer the lettuce. These restaurants eventually became repeat customers. The lettuce was priced at 120 pesos per kilogram, although some of the lettuce were sold at 50 pesos due to market price fluctuation.
Financial analysis. On this table, we can see the materials used by student entrepreneurs in their lettuce production. We can observe that the students spent 7,372 pesos on the cost of materials.
Table 2. Cost of tools. On this table, we can see the tools used by the student entrepreneurs. In this section, we can see the depreciated prices of the tools listed on the table. Since these were not actually purchased by the students, to determine the depreciated value of the tools, we first need to compute the salvage value. To calculate the salvage value, we simply multiply the unit price of the tools by 0.15. To calculate their annual depreciation, we subtract the unit price of a tool from its salvage value, then divide by its lifespan to obtain the annual depreciation. Overall, the students spent 1,521 pesos on the cost of tools.
Table 3. In this table, we can see the cost of labor incurred by student entrepreneurs throughout the enterprise development project. The total amount spent on labor is 13,867 pesos.
Next would be other expenses. In this table, we can see that the student entrepreneurs spent 15,553 pesos. This includes their expenses on paid laborers, rent, and amount on spend on gasoline for transportation.
Total cost of production. In this table, we can see the combined total of all expenses mentioned in the previous table, such as the cost of materials at 7,372 pesos, cost of tools with 1,521 pesos spent, cost of labor totaling 13,867 pesos, and other expenses amounting to 15,553 pesos. Overall, all of these sum up to total of 28,313 pesos for the total expenses.
Table 6, Income Statement. 417 kilograms of lettuce were harvested, 387 kilograms were sold at 120 pesos per kilogram, and the remaining 30 kilograms were sold at 50 pesos per kilogram. The student entrepreneurs earned a total of 47,940 pesos.
Computation for net income. To compute the net income, you subtract the total cost of production from the gross income. In this case, the gross income is 47,940 and the total cost of production is 28,433. By subtracting the total cost of production from the gross income, you get the net income, which is 19,507 pesos.
Break-even price. So the break-even price is calculated by dividing the total cost of production, which is 28,433, by the total harvest quantity, which is 417 kilograms. By performing this calculation, we find that the break-even price for the lettuce produced by the student entrepreneur is 68 0.19 per kilogram. This means that in order to cover all production costs and start making a profit, each kilogram of lettuce needs to be sold at or above this break-even price.
Break-even yield. The break-even yield is calculated by dividing the total cost of production, 28,433 pesos, by the weighted average selling price per kilogram, 114.84 kilogram pesos. By applying this formula, we determine that the break-even yield for the lettuce sold at 120 pesos per kilogram is 247.6 kilograms. This means that in order to break even and cover all production costs when selling the lettuce at 120 pesos kilogram, the student entrepreneurs need to sell at least 247.6 kilograms of lettuce.
Return on investment. So the ROI is calculated by dividing the net income generated from the lettuce production by the total cost of production and then multiplying the results by 100. By applying this formula, we find that the return on investment, the lettuce production venture is 68.61%. It indicates the efficiency and profitability of the investment in lettuce production with a positive ROI reflecting of a profitable venture.
Compacted soil. During land preparation, the student entrepreneurs had faced the problem of compacted soil in the area they had intended to cultivate. The soil had not only been compacted but also dry, lacking moisture, which could make it form into hard lumps or clumps. To address this issue, the student entrepreneurs had decided to add water to the soil by watering. The water helped to break apart the clumps and soften the soil. As the water had seeped, it had created spaces between the soil particles, making the soil looser. This process hadn't happened instantly but gradually over time with consistent watering. The soil texture had transformed from being hard and clumpy to soft and loose.
Mulch displacement due to strong wind. When the student entrepreneurs placed plastic mulch on the planting bed, some of the plastic mulch got damaged and torn due to strong winds. The immediate solution to this problem was to replace the damaged mulch with new ones and promptly perforate it with planting holes for the lettuce. The holes helped prevent tearing from the strong winds and allowed for proper circulation.
Seedling loss due to strong winds. During seedling stage of the lettuce, the two student entrepreneurs encountered a problem with some seedling trays tip over, which resulted in the loss of some seedlings. In response to this setback, the student devised a solution. They secured the remaining trays to prevent further losses and promptly replanted new seeds in the seedling boxes. They also purchased seedlings from St. Ivan Agriculture Services in Barangay Osorio 13 Martires to fill the empty holes and not fall behind on the scheduled harvest time for the second batch.
Heat stress in plants. On the first day of transplanted lettuce in the field, many wilted and some leaves were scorched by the heat from the plastic mulch due to the intensity of the sun. The student entrepreneurs responded to this problem by replacing the wilted lettuce with new ones in the empty spaces. They also increased the frequency of watering in the subsequent days to prevent further wilting and to avoid the plastic mulch from overheating. Eventually, the student entrepreneurs purchased a sprinkler to ensure the soil did not dry out throughout the day and to prevent the plants from wilting due to the extreme heat. Cash flow statement. So dito po sa aming cash flow statement, makikita po natin na may beginning balance kami na 10,000 na kung saan ay pinag-ambagan namin ni Reg ng tig 5,000 kami para po magkaroon kami ng total capital of 10,000 pesos. So sa month po ng January, gumastos po kami ng 1,000 pesos at saka 300 pesos para sa site clearing at saka sa plowing. Kaya po may total expense po kami na 1,300 pesos. Kaya po ang remaining balance na lang namin ay 8,700. Sa February naman po ay yung remaining balance namin na 8,700 ay gumastos naman po kami para sa carbonized rice hull at sa iba pang materials na may total po na 6,313 pesos. Kaya po may natira kaming balance na 2,387. Sa March naman po ay ang natira naming 2,387 ay nadagdagan ng 2,000 pesos kasi po ay nag-ambagan ulit kami ng tig 1,000 pesos para po mapunan yung mga gastos namin. So may total cash on hand po kami na 4,387 At may nagastos po kami na total na 2,562 pesos. Minus po namin yun sa total cash on hand namin na 4,387. Kaya po may remaining balance na lang kami na 1,825 pesos. So sa month naman po ng April, yung remaining balance po namin ay nalagdagan kasi po ay kami na ay kumita ng pera. Yung kinita po namin sa month ng April ay 39,300. Sa kinita po namin pera, nagkaroon po kami ng total cash on hand na 41,125 pesos. At nagkaroon rin po kami ng expenses na merong halagang 749 pesos. Kaya po ang natira na lang naming balance ay 40,376. And then, sa month ng May naman po, ang natira naming balance ay yung 40,376 ay nadagdagan pa ng aming sale na 6,000 pesos at wala po kami nagastos sa month na ito kaya po ang total ay 46,376. At ganoon rin po sa month ng June at kumita rin po kami ulit sa month ng June ng 2,640 kaya po may total po kami na balance na 49,016 pesos.